If you visit Palm Springs City Hall, you might be greeted by this silver-haired Southern gentleman.
Hello, how can I help you?
His name is Charles Dunn, and he fills in at reception when he's needed. He's 74, but you wouldn't know it by his fast fingers on the keyboard.
I had won a typing contest my senior year as the fastest typist in Louisiana.
Something else you wouldn't know, those same fingers typed for President John F. Kennedy during the brink of nuclear war, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
When he sent letters to Khrushchev demanding that they take down the missiles. My fear, as I typed, I remember thinking, Khrushchev is never going to do this.
What many didn't know, just how close the world was to nuclear annihilation.
If Khrushchev had not agreed to the withdrawal, literally we would have bombed. They would have responded. So that's what the fear was, that it would be the end of mankind.
He looks back and still can't believe how he ended up at the White House. He and his siblings were abandoned in an orphanage in Louisiana. A few years later, his grandmother took them in. He credits her with getting him to our nation's capital.
I rode on a Continental Trailway bus to Washington, D.C. from Louisiana. And my grandmother, we were very poor people, and my grandmother had given me all the cash. She had $65.
He got a job at the Speaker's office, but because he could type faster than most people could type in shorthand, the next stop, the White House. Not in a bus, this time a limo.
The most vivid memory was driving through the gates of the White House the first time. It just didn't seem real. It didn't seem possible.
And as fate would have it, he was also chosen to go on a doomed trip. He's one of the last survivors aboard Air Force One the day President Kennedy was assassinated.
I watched them load the casket and that kind of stuff, and that was really surreal. That was just like, how can this be, you know? And there's no greater hopeless feeling than that one when the president's gone.
A hallway in his Palm Springs home is a shrine to his Kennedy years. His favorite, a gift from the First Lady.
Mrs. Kennedy said, "Tish tells me you like that." And I said, "Oh, I love that." And she said, "Well, you can have it." And I said, "Oh my goodness." I was just overwhelmed. I said, "Well, thank you."
Dunn says that painting that used to hang in Mrs. Kennedy's office seems to foretell one of the saddest days in American history.
A lady in black, and then the president being sworn in.
And while he always felt a special bond with 35, he didn't know there's a permanent tribute to President Kennedy inside a church just a few miles from his home. Seeing this brought him back to the time known as Camelot, a place he can travel to in his mind and in his heart without anyone ever knowing.
Magical, just like out-of-body experience. I'm very blessed to have had that opportunity.
Kitty Alvarado, KMIR News.